What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. We're back with everybody's favorite, another teenager getting drafted to the NHL in the boy auction. Interested to see what the profile turns out today, because we always talk to the scouts before and after the show and get their thoughts on things, who they hate, who they like, all over the map for this guy. So it'll be interesting to see where he falls. Little intel, though, maybe a good pick for the Sharks. So not too sure, but we have another expert on. We'll keep doing these profiles as we march towards the draft. Please let us know who you want us to do. A lot of the top guys are not unchosen, so suggest the way. Just don't suggest Gleb Trikazov. We're aware. Everybody. We know. Everybody loves Gleb.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, Kyle Demetrius. Back with me, as always, is co-host JD, the Airdrie to my Okotoks. I can't remember if Joel... Oh, I let it out of the bag. I can't remember if our guest is... Oh, no, he's from Saskatchewan. Oh, I screwed that up. You're the Uranium City to my, Big R. I don't know. These are all really shitty Canadian cities in the prairies. I guess Swift Current was right there. And Moose Jaw. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Do something, JD. Save us.
I'm going to let you take this podcast.
No, this podcast is going downhill. Also, our guests can see us the whole time and hear us while we're doing this, so it's really funny.
Yes.
He may not be there when we get back, so we'll find out on the other side.
Yes,
all right.
So.
What teenager are we talking about?
So again, if you are new to, or just listening because you're a diehard Joel fan and that you only consume his work, welcome to Locked On Sharks, where what we'll do is we'll go through the prospect, his statistical profile, and then we will bring on the expert to talk about this person and why they may or may not be a fit for the Sharks. So today we are doing Conor Geeky. Conor Geeky, a May-born centerman who plays on the Winnipeg Ice. He's a good Canadian boy, big Canadian boy, 6'4", 205. His rankings kind of that 10 to 20-ish range for most of the rankings, from TSN and Central Scouting. Central Scouting has him number 4 in North American skaters. This year on the Winnipeg Ice are literally one of the best teams in the CHL. 48 games played, 16 goals, 37 assists, 53 points for a nice 1.10 points per game. So we will bring on our good friend, Joel.
Conor Geeky is not a good handle. All right. Our guest, who can tell us all about Conor. Also, if he's related to Morgan, because I still don't know. But our guest, if you're watching, you can see him already. It's Joel Henderson, the director of scouting for Puck Preps, also covers the WHL for FC Hockey, has his own band or possibly makes his own music, and is straight out of the plains of Saskatchewan.
I appreciate you dressing up in your finest Canadian jean jacket today.
I put it on just for you guys.
I feel quite comfortable and at home. This is speaking to me right now. So
that's good.
I'm good. Are you actually from Saskatchewan, or do you just live there now?
Yeah.
Are you from Regina?
Born here. Not from, but this is where I live. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I get to watch a few teams when they come through. The old Connor Bedard and.
That's
no big deal.
So it's a nice place to be for the next few years for sure. I guess one more.
Connor.
Thanks.
All right, Conor Geeky. First question: is he related to Morgan?
He is.
Podcast over.
That's all I wanted to know.
That's all you wanted to know.
We are done here. I'm assuming he's his younger brother.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Second, why is he all over the place? Because we've heard people say, please do not draft Conor Geeky. We've heard people have him 4th Central Scouting. He's 9th on recruit scouting. What else has he got going on here? He's 13 at the Puck, 24 Smart Scouting. Yeah. Bob had him at 10.
Is it because he's 6'4"?
He's also very big.
Yes.
It's because he is an anomaly. I don't know many players that play like he does. It almost seems like his strengths that are opposite of what they should be. When you think, like, you listed his size, 6'4", what, 205?
Yeah.
When you think of a player like that, what do you think?
Big boy, crash the net, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No. So he doesn't like, so that's not his game. Big boy, physical in the corners, blah, 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 all this. No, it's not him at all. He's a finesse player. And so his big thing is speed through the neutral zone, entering the zone, and cradling pucks in the zone and being able to drag pucks laterally. And so he has very good hands, especially at a top speed, but he's not a very agile player. Like the way that I've kind of described him to people, because he's big. But like the way that I've kind of described him to people is very similar to the way that I haven't watched him all, but in the way that I remember Patrick Laine skating. So Laine skates in straight lines in big bursts, heavy strides, and then he relies on what I call, like, this is what Conor does. He relies on what I would call like a power glide. He's very strong in his turns. He's very strong in his edges, but he's not very explosive. So he doesn't explode out of those turns. He doesn't make hard power moves from a standstill. Like if he's on the half wall, he's not going to make some hard cut power, big 6'4" move to the net. He just doesn't do that. He waits for passing lanes. He waits to kind of move pucks across the zone. He's a very strange player for his build, which means that when you don't have a player that's any sort of prototype, people can project them differently. And I think the hardest thing with projection for him is that I don't really have a model. There hasn't been a lot of players that are like him from the WHL.
Does he hit ever? Does he use his size ever? Like, or is he play like he's 5'10"?
He uses his size, but he doesn't implement his size. Like he's not gonna be the one to finish pucks in the corner on you. He would much rather fish a puck out of your feet than he would body you in the corner. So that extensive it. But the thing is like, so when I talk about Conor Geeky a lot, I talk about survivable traits, where he has a lot of things that are projectable and survivable to the NHL, where in a draft class where some guys where you go, oh, well, if this doesn't hit for them, they're probably not an NHLer. Geeky has a lot of things where you go, yeah, he should be an NHLer. Like, and so in this kind of class of, kind of when I'm looking around and there's a lot of different question marks, Geeky might not have the ceiling that other guys do, but he has enough projectable stuff that I think he's a safe bet to play in the NHL. And I just don't know what his role is going to be because because his strengths are very, very different.
Classic high floor, low ceiling.
Yeah, a little bit. But once again, in a way that like doesn't quite exist, right? Like, so when he was at the junior level, when he was kind of working his way up, the fact that he was bigger and faster than people in straight lines. And so he was scoring off the rush. He was scoring off breakaways. He was scoring off power moves. He had great hands in tight. So he would stick handle, bait the goalie, go drag left, drag right laterally and tuck it in the back door. So he would stick handle a lot of goals. He wasn't sniping them. He was bigger than them and he had great puck control. And so that was how he scored his goals. And try to knock the puck off a kid when you're 15 years old. Try to knock a puck off a kid who was already like 6'2" at the time and the size that he was, it was so hard. And so it's interesting in Winnipeg because the thing is like Conor Geeky is succeeding, but he's succeeding with exactly the kind of guys that you want him to succeed with. And so if you have Conor Geeky moving up the middle of the ice as a centerman, when he's moving with power and speed, it doesn't necessarily have the agility. And he's not the guy that's just always harassing people, that's not be able to be the first to jump on the play. You need agile forwards to be able to play with him. And for the majority of the year, he's played with Zach Benson and Mikey Milne, two of the most agile forwards in the whole WHL. And so Conor Geeky has great 5-on-5 numbers. It's because he's a good player, but he's playing with two guys that are both incredible 5-on-5 players. And so a lot of his results, oftentimes you're trying to take a player out of an unsuccessful situation and project them to a successful one. This is a player who's in a successful situation. And so what you hope is to mirror that at the next level. And so one of the ways that he kind of succeeds with these guys, and Winnipeg has them, is that Winnipeg has small wingers. So they have size through the middle. They have Geeky, and they went and got Jack Finley as well. And so that's kind of how they're trying to do it. And both those players have terrific hands.
All right, guys, before we continue our conversation with Joel about prospect Conor Geeky, we want to take a quick break and talk to you guys about our friends over at Bet Online. Football season is over, but basketball's in full steam with both pro and college hoops. From the latest odds, totals, and player performance props to where the next coach will be fired, Bet Online is the number one spot for your sports betting needs. Bet Online remains the number one spot for your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. It's not just basketball. Bet Online's got you covered for hockey, boxing, UFC, any sport available. Bet Online has got you covered. So head over to their website today and use your mobile devices to learn more about the trends in action. Bet Online, where the game starts. So what you talked about his, his ability to skate or not skate, but like his movement and stuff. What do you think is the one kind of really special trait about Geeky that you think is one of the survival traits to the NHL?
He controls the puck really well at his reach, and he controls the puck really well when he's moving with speed. So oftentimes when, kind of the level zips up, like I could see if you have a 3-on-2 rush and Conor Geeky's with you, wherever he is, he's a legit option. Like he's not going to bobble the puck. He's not going to lose a play. He might even make a terrific slip pass to the wing, fake a shot and make a slip pass over. And so puck control with speed through the neutral zone. He's a very puck controlled guy. And so to me, that's his best asset, is that because he has that size, and as he moves through pro, you can teach him how to be, like I said, a lot more survivable by using his size more. Because he has it. He can become a little bit more physical and make sure that he's maintaining the puck at the reach. When he tries to get too fancy and he tries to drag throughout his body when guys close on him, sometimes they'll take the puck from him. Because like I said, he's not explosive from a standstill. He won't see you coming and then just like his first 3 steps explode away. What he tries to do is maintain motion and then cut hard. And so he will cut hard away from you. He'll spin away from you. But for a guy that's 6'4", he does get hit. And it is weird to see when he gets hit. And because it does take him down every now and then. And it's like, all over a little bit.
He's the anti-Slavkovsky, where you literally cannot put that man on the ground.
Yeah, a little bit. Geeky can. But once again, like if a player has terrific hands, that's another just thing where if you can control the puck, you're a big dude, you can survive. Like you can survive in pro hockey. You can be able to make plays and continue possession and continue movement, like as long as you're a puck controlled team. And so like sometimes he'll score goals by tipping pucks or like poking things away from guys. Like he's just got terrific hands. Sometimes it can, like I said, it can get away from him. But if he's using his reach and he's keeping pucks at his reach, if you notice and you watch highlights of him, like there's very often where he'll embarrass somebody on a zone entry, where a defenseman will try and step up on him. And once again, it's not a sharp cut. It's not an explosive stride. It's a whatever. It's just a shift.
It's like a subtle movement.
It's a subtle shift, and it's a drag the puck to his reach. And so he'll drag the puck from one pocket into the other, and then he'll control it as he moves past you. And so, which is fine, which is exactly, that's a transferable skill to the NHL too. So a lot of that kind of thing, a lot of his game is based upon just being able to control the puck with pace. And especially when he has guys that have not quite the wingspan as him. He's got Mikey Milne and Zach Benson. When they're relay the pucks to him and he's allowed to kind of break that zone and make sure that they're getting possession, he does so really well. So that kind of aspect of it, when you have players that aren't sized, but you still have enough finesse to be able to play with them. Like, because it would be a shame if Mikey Milne and Zach Benson continue to get pucks back, and then every time he gets it, he bobbles it. He doesn't. Like, he's a very good passer. He sees a lot of lanes really well, and some of his passing is very deceptive too. So
what's holding him back? Because he sounds great.
2 things, and two and a half things. Like we've already talked about the physicality. And so for a guy that's 6'4", you just wish that he would play a little bit more physical.
That seems like a thing that NHL coaches particularly will be upset at.
Yeah.
They love seeing a big guy and getting a little half chub and being like, yes, I need to put this guy on the ice.
Yes. As a guy who's as a guy who covered the Calgary Flames prospects for a long time with Dauber, it was interesting to see someone like Adam Ruzicka come up through the system and now playing with the Flames because his big thing is he was a guy with size who didn't necessarily use it all the time, and he had terrific hands. And so when you can kind of make plays in small spaces like that, the difference is Geeky builds speed. he can build more speed. His top speed is definitely past Ruzicka.
Is James Van Riemsdyk kind of similar? Because he's also fairly big, and he parked himself in front of the net.
Potentially. And so this is the thing, is like, once again, projecting a role for him. Like, so if I was on the power play, would I want Conor Geeky on as the main guy to set up on the half wall? No, not particularly, because he doesn't have that explosive escapability. He's been doing it a little bit more. He's been curling more into shots, I think, more recently as he's on the left half wall that I've seen him lately. But he's not necessarily that number one option that you want there. Even as a passer, even as how terrific of a passer he is, he's just not the guy that I want the puck in his hands all the time. Maybe on a second unit. Is he the shot first guy? Is he the guy that has a great one-timer and a great shot? We haven't talked about a shot at all. No, he's not that guy. Is he physical enough to be like that slot guy, that blah, blah, blah? No, not really. So like, maybe he's a tipped guy in front, like, because he's got such great hands. Maybe he's just can learn to be a bit more physical and be a menace in front. So like I said, his skill set leaves me a bit confused. And I think even as he moves through the system of whoever takes him, I think you might see his role change. You might see him time on the wing, time at center, trying to make sense of where to best use him. And I wouldn't be surprised at that, because he's got great skill. It's just about trying to develop it and find the best use for it.
So you mentioned this shot. So like you said, we haven't really talked about it. Yeah, and well, you did mention earlier that he's not much of a sniper. Is it just not like an NHL caliber shot, or he just hasn't had to like develop it, or you think, or what's up?
So like, I haven't looked entirely at this, but he doesn't have a lot of goals this year. And he has a very low shooting percentage this year too. Like for the CHL, like for a top guy on a top team, he's shooting at about 10% ish.
He's got 16 goals as of time of this record, March 3rd.
Yes. And so he's got 16 goals, somewhere around 160 shots, I think.
On like one of the like Winnipeg, like this team just so people.
Yeah. Like, so people know that people on this team are drafted like Connor McLennan, then they have Matt Savoy, that Milne guy, 5. Benson, Ben Zloty, Carson Lambos, Jack Finley, Cole Muir. Like there's tons of guys that people would recognize, and their goalie is drafted by the Ducks. So
who know how to draft goalies?
Yeah. For the context of people, I've talked about how I don't know that I've ever seen, since I've started watching, I don't know that I've ever seen a more agile hockey team in the WHL than the Winnipeg Ice. Every one of them, beyond like Finley and Conor Geeky, they're so fast, they're so agile, even down to guys like Skylar Bruce and Smallwood. They're just an incredibly fast team. If you don't make quick puck decisions, they're on you. They're on you so fast and pinning you into the zone. They can change the course of play very, very quickly. All of their guys can. And so Conor Geeky plays well in that because he's such a strong puck control guy. And he does bring a little bit of size, and he can kind of implement it at times and kind of use that to protect the puck and do some of those things. But he's largely a finesse guy. But he fits in with a team that is just such a strong play driving team. How they beat you is they beat you to pucks and they keep you in the zone. And so like they've got Zach Benson, who is a 16-year-old, and he's one of the best 16-year-olds in the league. Like could be the second best in the league. Like that's how good he's been. And he's been the one playing with them. And then Mikey Milne, who some guys thought should be drafted last year. I think I have him as a guy that should be drafted this year again. So that's where he played a majority of his line with. Benson's been kind of hurt. And so as far as his shot goes, I think it's improved. I think at the start of the year, it was way more of a slingshot. Sometimes it was more of a slingshot, more of a flick. Keep in mind, like he's a terrific passer. He's a really accurate passer, and he controls the puck really well. So you would think that he just has like a snipe of a wrist shot. Like you think that he'd be able to pick corners and pick the way it is, but his shot it's not going in. He sets up his wrist shot. It's gotten more power to it that I've seen it. In the last number of games that I watched, when he's shot, it has more power and release to it and flow, especially when he's like curling, dragging off the power play. So he's doing the right things, but he's never been a guy that like shoots quick, and he's never really in positions to shoot quick. Like he's never really in the slot. Sometimes he's a trailer on a play moving through the zone, but that's the thing, is he's not a grip and rip it guy. He doesn't have a big slap shot. His wrist shot hasn't been as accurate as he can. So he's once again a 6'4", 205-pound guy who isn't really a natural goal scorer. He's way more a geek, like a deke in front, get guys slip pass in, find a teammate on a trailer, fake a shot, find a guy and slip pass across the body into, a shooter on the wing. So his skill set for what he is just, it's a little strange. And I don't mean in the wrong way. Like when you watch him play, you'll watch him play and you'll go, that's high end. That's high end. That's high end. He has those moments where you're just like, there's a reason this kid went second overall in the WHL draft in his year. There's a reason that he's playing and succeeding and doing well, especially at 5-on-5 on this team, is because him and his teammates are good complements for each other. He's a smart player. When he moves with speed and moves with power, he's very hard to stop, and he can keep the puck from you. So there's all those high end abilities. It's just the projectability of it all, and it's what is it going to look like when he goes to the next level? What is he the one that's going to drive his line? Is he going to be a center? Is he going to, like, all these ones come with a little bit of questions. And
is he a center at the NHL level?
I don't know.
Could he be?
I think he can. I think he can. Just based on that puck control. Mm-hmm. But if you don't put him with a bit more agile wingers, then I think you lose him. So I think you need a bit more agility on your wings. I think you need a bit more of that. But just simply because he's such a strong possession player, if you're passing through him through the middle of the ice and he's moving well through the middle of the ice, he can keep the puck and dish the puck with accuracy. So that it's not worrying about. It's just if you like your centerman to be the guys pushing the pace, breaking down plays one-on-one, if you don't like a team style passing approach through the neutral zone, he's maybe not the guy for you. When he builds speed, his top speed is good. It just takes him a few strides. So there'll be some highlights that you can look up on him and he's moving, but that's because he's already curled out of the zone and he's been chugging through the neutral zone.
So it feels like he needs to be like in kind of the right system to develop and kind of stuff like that. I mean, we talked about the Winnipeg Ice. Since they're such a good team, are you worried that maybe his teammates are kind of helping him mask some of his flaws and making him look better type of thing? And if he gets put on the wrong team, like, a team that's terrible at developing, that it's Buffalo. Just going to be a busted pick.
Well, I guess the reason why I mentioned Line A as well is because I think anyone that's really kind of followed his career has seen the good and the bad of him. Like, you've seen where he's just trailing the play. He's useless on a forecheck. He's making bad decisions with the puck. And so it ends up like where the majority of his shifts, he's just kind of chasing the play and he's waiting for those moments to be kind of a big impactful player. And so as far as his skating stride, I think Geeky has that potential that there's times when guys would just make him chase the puck the whole time. Where he's not if it's not the most effective, he won't be able to shift laterally and explode as like NHL players kind of adjust to his angling and stuff. So I think it's a little bit of hit or miss. My projection for Geeky is like in the right situation, I think he could be a second line center, but I think he's probably more of the lines of a third line player for the majority of his career. But once again, because he's such a weird enigma, could I see him as like a top line left wing in the right situation? Like, yeah, I could, because of his strong puck control. Like he's a weird player that it's just like, I think his success is going to come from how he is useful within the team structure. Mm-hmm. Like, where do we best have him in order to complement other players, and how do we best use him? And to me, it's still kind of a big question, because I think his usage, even in the Winnipeg Ice, it's natural down the middle because of his size and speed, that he can break the neutral zone there. But then when he kind of like curls and then just goes to the wing and kind of takes himself out of the play, it's a bit interesting too. So he's a guy that I understand why people are very, very low on him, in that they go, there's a real chance that his skating just doesn't work out. There's guys that have that bigger, longer stride that are 6'3", 6'4". One of the guys that I often talk about too in Columbus is Kevin Stenlund, that I liked for a long time. But you can see why he works and why he doesn't, and why he was able to find success on a third line, but why he wasn't able to thrive there. And so there's players like that who skate like that they're not going to be the guy that are causing an incredible amount of turnovers because of their pace and because of their ability to explode and really pressure defensemen, to physically impose once they get the puck, to shield it with all they have. Like he's not quite that player.
So how long before he's in the NHL? Because he's big, so like that always gets accelerated, right? Like if you're big, you got to knock off at least like half a season.
Yeah. So I can't. I don't want.
What would be a realistic timeline? Like next year, okay, let's do it this way. 2022, 23, does he go back to Winnipeg or does he go to the NHL?
He goes back to Winnipeg. Like,
okay, that's 1 year. Yeah.
For sure. So my best guess might be 1 year, but once again, it depends on the team that takes him. Because if it were me, I would probably
NHL tomorrow.
I would probably keep him in the I would probably keep him in the WHL quite a bit.
Okay.
Like I think I would make, because he's going to have Benson there as well. He's got some other players that are coming along on his team that are a little bit smaller. I would just slowly work on him in the WHL, being able to just sustain and implement his stride a little bit more. There's times when he's looking to be a finesse guy, and so I would maybe even try to like use his power stance a little bit more along the boards to be able to be harder to knock off the puck, shield the puck more, try to drive the lane more, be more aggressive. Like because Winnipeg is such a strong puck moving team, everything that they do is puck movement, that he isn't able to make some of those individual power one-on-one moves. And so like, it's just fine tweaks, but I would just work on some of that stuff with him. Like I would keep him in the WHL for a couple of years and work on it. And if he turns pro and he needs one more year in the AHL too, like I would do that too. Like if people go and see my rankings and stuff for the WHL, I had Conor Geeky first. I had watched him a lot earlier, and it was based on the fact that like, I think a lot of the players, their impact, if you look back on their careers, some of these, like maybe the top 4 from the WHL, their impact might be similar, like in the essence of like where they fall. Like, I just don't think any of them are top line players or anything like that. So Geeky was more like, I guess he gets the nod because he's got more projectability in just some of his size and puck control.
So he'd be over Savoy and Denton Matachuk are really the only other two.
So I say that, but then I watched a bunch more Conor Geeky, and I dropped him down more too. And so I think I'm not as familiar with the rest of this draft class as I have been in times, so I can't compare and contrast with some of the other players in other leagues and stuff. So the only thing that I have is the WHL. If it were today and I was drafting today, I would probably take Kevin Korchinski first. I would take Matthew Savoy second, very, very close. And I would take, and I think Matejchuk and Geeky are probably close. I think I'd probably lean Geeky over Matejchuk. So that's kind of where it kind of lines up for me. They're all very close. I don't, the defensemen I don't think are going to be more than second pairing guys, and the forwards I think they're middle tween guys in the NHL too. So to me it's take your pick. Like it's a little bit of that. Like if someone goes, I like this player way more than this player, and you're stupid for saying so, I go, take him. I don't know, have him. Like it's to me, it's like it depends on who takes them and how they develop them and how they whatever. Some guys have a little more upside. Like Matejchuk has a little more upside.
Well, Savoy is all upside, literally just pure upside.
Yeah.
No, but sure.
Well, I mean, like if Savoy hits, you're getting like 90 points. He's also just 5'7".
Yeah, so like that's another way that I don't see that in the same way that others do. So, there's a lot of like, it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of watch these players and kind of see them go. But for someone like Geeky, I just think he is interesting. And so I think because he's interesting at this level, I would assume he's going to be interesting at the next level. Like when you take him and he finally makes the NHL, some fans are going to be like, you know what, I really like this guy and I see the potential. And if we would only use him in this way, and other fans might be like, it's frustrating, or like, I don't know. So, but he's got a bunch of high-end skills. When you've got hands that good and you can control puck that good, you can work on being able to be a little stronger. Like being able to field off whatever. You're 6'4", 205. Yeah. They can work with you on your physicality. you've already have the hands to be able to control puck at high paces. That's a great skill to start with, especially when you can pass with the accuracy that he can. So to me, like, that's the stuff that I like about him. I don't know if it's going to end up making him a top end player, but I think the stuff that he can work on, he can work on. It's just if his shot improves, like if his shot gets a little more accurate and he's able to separate a little bit more, especially off the rush, and he learns how to use his physicality a little bit more, I think you have a really good player there. But he does have work to do.
All right, before we finish up on our interview with Joel about Conor Geeky, and then we get a little tidbits on Tristen, Robbins and Ozzy Wiesblatt's season so far, we want to take a quick break and talk to you guys about rockauto.com. rockauto.com is a family website helping you save money on parts for your car. Great thing about them is you don't have to worry about going to the local chain auto parts store where you go up there, you ask what type of car you have. The person behind the counter only have a couple of things in the department. You don't have to worry about that with rockauto.com. You save time and money when using rockauto.com. 30, 50, even 100% off for the same parts that you would get at a chain store or car dealership. So rockauto.com is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer, and they've got everything you need from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. So head over to their website today at rockauto.com. See all the parts available for your car or truck, and write "Locked On" in their "How'd you hear us" box. That way they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low parts, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. So we are on a quest from God to find William Eklund a friend. We asked all of everybody we're on, how would Geeky play with Eklund, or is this just not a match, you think, with these two guys?
Well, I guess my counter question is where do you expect, what role do you expect for William Eklund?
He's going to be a winger for like 3.
Probably the Tomas Hertl model where he starts out on the wing, and then once he kind of gets his big boy body, then he'll probably slide as a center. So that's kind of, yeah.
And where do you see him on the power play?
William Eklund on the sidewall. He's just passing, pure passing.
So, so depending on that, I don't know that Geeky would be the greatest winger for him. Just simply because they play at different paces. Mm-hmm. I think it might work if Eklund was the winger and Geeky was the center. Just once again, just based on the prototype of what we see from Winnipeg, where Winnipeg has agility on the wings and puck control and ability to pass out of space and do that. Like, I think Eklund mirrors that. I don't think he can do that for Eklund, like from the sides. And then Geeky, especially, I think Geeky would have to be bumper position maybe on the power play. He'd have to be down low, tipping pucks, things like that. That's how it could work with them. Yeah, I don't know that it's a natural fit, but I talk about with San Jose too, which is just like, the players that they've taken in the past. Like, I think of someone like Brandon Coe. Brandon Coe is a player with size, tremendous hands, great puck control, moving through the zone. And the one thing that he has is size, but he has to be able to use it a bit more. You know what I mean? Like, he has to be able to implement his own physicality a little bit more. And so when I think about Conor Geeky, I go like, he might be another one where you just go, all right, we have all these small skill boys. Let's get
a big skill boy.
So, and so to me, it just might be as simple as that, where it's just like, can Conor Geeky be a centerman? Yeah, sure. Like, and so it's just like, yeah, sure. You can put some skill boys on his wings, like agile skill boys.
Danil Gushin is right there.
Yeah.
Well,
you put Gushin on one wing, you put Tristen Robbins on the other, and you have tremendous puck control. You got guys that go in the corner. I don't know. It could work.
And then Gushin's got to play all four lines the way we're using it.
Then you have a top line of some jabroni, William Eklund, and Timo Meier. Would Eklund Geeky be a 1-2 center combo that you'd want to work with, or is that getting too risky?
Well, I think this is more the old school thought, right? But you want toughness through the center of the ice, and so I think because of Eklund, and like, he's not a physical player through the middle. He's a beat you with speed. Mm-hmm. Like, for context for people, if they've never seen me or heard of me or read about me, I love William Eklund. I had William Eklund at #1 last year. Massive.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, we appreciate. Yes,
love that kid. Love how he plays.
Yes, you can come back as many times as you want if you're going to keep talking about Eklund.
To me, he was the most, like, they were just like, what do you think of William Eklund? Like, top 6 all day? Like guy that will make jersey sales through the roof. Like, he's incredible. Like, so I love him a lot. And so, but I think if your 1-2 is Eklund and Geeky, you're just immediately running into like, well, how do you win playoff games?
Mhm.
And so that's a little bit more tough. In that scenario, I think Geeky maybe becomes a third line guy. But you're running a team with finesse at that point. Like, I think whenever you bring in Geeky in, you're running finesse and puck control. But once again, let's imagine a world where he gets to be a little more physical, and he gets to be a little, because all he needs is a physicality to be able to protect. Like, he needs to be able to protect the puck and make skills and make passes, especially from the half wall, which he does do. I would just like to see more consistency in that. Like, to be a bigger, when you're going up against him, that he's not trying to stick handle through you, and he's not going to explode past you. So he has to protect. He has to protect and make a smart pass, whether that's a cycle play and then drive the middle, like a give and go style thing, or just a play back to the defenseman. When you get control of the puck, make sure that you keep possession and get back to the defenseman. So these are all things he can do. And I just think, I just like to see him to be a bit more of a grunt. It's weird because like I'm suggesting this like it's an easy thing to do, but to be honest, I've seen a lot of like bigger skilled players who just, they never quite make it as a part of their game with a sense of consistency. They like playing a finesse game. They like being skilled. They don't want to like fend off someone on their shoulder while holding onto the puck and then just fling it back to the defenseman. So it is a harder thing for theyose guys to learn, but Geeky's smart and he's big enough to do it. So I think he'll be able to handle himself at the NHL level.
All right, one last one. If we would be remiss if we didn't ask the WHL guy, give me 30 seconds on Robin's season and 30 seconds on Ozzy's season this year. So,
I've always been a massive fan of Tristen Robbins. Love him. It's another team that they've built through puck control and speed through the neutral zone with him and Kyle. And then even just getting some guys in trading away Doc. It was they're built with speed. They're built with puck control. Robbins, especially in his draft year, and that hasn't changed. He's one of the most adaptable forwards that you can find. He's so unbelievably smart at using his space, protecting the puck, battling in corners. Like, this is a guy where my biggest thing was, I said, if you have 2 second-round picks, and he's still there with your second-round pick, it's a no-brainer to me. Like, if you're worried about mitigating risk or worried about upside, like, to me, Tristen Robbins is going to be a guy that he becomes a fan favorite at every level. And
don't worry, they took Bordelot with the first one, so they were already good.
yes,
that's the thing. And so like it made so much sense to me. And once again, I was advocating for this when, not to throw shots, but like Central Scouting still had him as like a potential 5th round pick at the time. And so, you know what I mean? Like that was one player where I went, I disagree. And I think that he's going to be way better than that. And I think he's going to project better to the NHL than some people think. And I still believe that. I still believe that he's that good of a player. He's a player that can play center. He can play right wing. He can shoot on the power play. He can be a penalty kill guy. He can do whatever you want.
Also, he's sneaky, like physical.
Yeah, sneaky physical. Like, and to the point where like even in his draft year, when I was interviewing him and talking to him about certain guys, is like the guys that he wanted to battle in the corners with was Caden Gooley.
Well,
he wanted to battle against.
We interviewed him and we asked him, and he's like, actually, I really love just destroying people and like going in the corners and battling pucks. We're like, pardon? And he's like, yeah, I just love going in the corner and battling it out. We're like, isn't he like 5'10"? We're like, what is wrong with you?
He's good at it, man. Like he is. Like there's certain players from the WHL where I talk about leveraging your position, that they always will find inside position on you. They'll get inside the puck. They'll protect it. They're able to make plays because they're always thinking about getting that inside position on you. And Tristen Robbins is one of those players where like, if he can't beat you into the corner, he's thinking about how he can like attack you from a secondary position. And so he's always thinking about where his positioning is and how he can leverage just that little bit of physicality to create separation so he can burst away. He's one of the smartest players from the WHL, and I absolutely love watching him play. Ozzy Weisblatt is extremely
on a terrible team. Terrible team.
Like once again, I talk about players where you're trying to build a team with like strong puck possession. He just doesn't have guys that are at his level, right? And so some of the decisions he's making, some of the things that he's doing, he's looking for guys to catch and shoot. He's looking for guys to he's doing a lot of the heavy work. Like when he was finding early success as well, like he was playing with guys like Alexei Protas, where they're complementing him with size, moving through the middle, catching and shooting off the rush. Like he's dangling, creating separation, drawing attention, and then dishing, like whether it's a saucer pass, a slip pass, all sorts of different stuff. Guys are getting great opportunities. This year he can't quite do all those things. And so he's still the same player that I've seen before. It's a really hard team. They basically made a trade to get what's his name? Carson Latimer. They made that trade sending Gooley to Edmonton, and one of the pieces they got was Latimer. And I think that they were looking for those two guys to kind of hit and find chemistry. And Latimer's been a lot better with them. He's a strong player. He moves really strong. He can catch and release in the way that kind of Ozzy needs. But in the games that I watched, especially the live ones, it's a little hit or miss. They haven't quite found the perfect chemistry there. So Ozzy is Ozzy. If you've ever seen him play, he's extremely skilled. He draws attention, speed through the zone, can make some plays, some dangles that are really, really incredible. But, still hard for physicality, some of those things. It's just that draft was like between Robbins and Weisblatt and Bordelot and Gushin and Brandon Co. What they did was they drafted smarts. They drafted like high hockey IQ, and they drafted puck control, and then they followed it up by taking William Eklund. And so, if it works out or how it doesn't work out, the one thing that the Sharks, I think, were guarding was puck possession. And so, I'm very curious how the Sharks are going to move along. I talked about the other day how, like, I don't know, I haven't bought a jersey in so long. But like there is a Sharks William Eklund jersey that like
throwback, the throwback one.
No, that black one. There's a black.
Oh, the black stealth one.
I don't know. It's like black and teal. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
like, jersey.
Oh, that's the one I want. It's so nice.
Hey,
but yeah. So I think, but as well, like I think, yeah, and so just gathering that, and it's just like, no, you're not going to have every player on workout. Because I don't think everyone kind of fits in that style. So some guys will be packaged in trades later on. Some guys will slip. Maybe someone will get hurt. I don't know. There's always things happen.
Yep.
But when whoever works out and whoever joins the team, you're getting high hockey IQ and terrific puck control. And so whether it's Ozzy and Tristen, I'd love to see them play together. That'd be awesome. Because in their draft year too, I talked about this a lot, was like when trying to evaluate them, I was often trying to like imagine them in the different systems. I was trying to imagine what Tristen would be like if he was playing in PA. And I was trying to imagine what Ozzy would be like if he was shifted to Saskatoon. Because it's just imagining them in different scenarios. And one of the best things that I can say about both of them is that I think both of them still would have succeeded. Like I think putting them in different positions with different players, I think Ozzy would have played well with Colton Dock at the time. And some of the other guys that they had, some of their wingers, and Tristen would have been a beast with PA. So they're good. They're good players.
And you get to watch Gannon Larocque, who the Sharks also drafted. So
that's right.
out of nowhere. What a draft choice that was.
He's been good. He's been good.
Yeah. He's like a deer.
He's a very nice kid too.
He's also very nice. Yeah.
All hockey all the time. Yeah.
He's like tall and didn't really know what he was doing and falling all over the place, and now he just kind of started putting it together, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. He's like a deer out there.
Yeah, when I was watching him in his draft year, number one, like
you were the only person.
Yeah,
you have to imagine them in different roles, in different situations, and different things. And the biggest thing that I can say is that his role changed a lot, and he started to get way more confidence. And like when I watched him, to be honest, like. There's always more players that you should have watched longer, should have watched more, should have watched with more intensity. And he was one of them that I should have. But he was playing on Victoria, and Victoria was one of the worst teams in the league. Like, it was hard to watch. So it was one where I was like, if someone takes Cannon, totally, I get it. Like, but I was like, I don't want to watch Victoria anymore.
Totally fair.
Yes.
Victoria's a much better team this year. They're way more exciting, and Gannon's been a big part of that.
Yes, for sure. I think he's like third in defenseman scoring in the WHL or something heinous like that. Yeah.
Also, the Sharks should sign Billy Peach. Anyway, hey, get to your blood questions.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. We can talk about Bailey Peach a different day. 2 questions. We're writing them down in blood, and you're forever held accountable to them. 1.
Okay.
Where your own blood, by the way. We come and extract it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. We've got a real operation running here at Locked On Sharks.
Vials of Scout's blood behind. I mean, that's what's in the cookie.
We're gonna mix them. We're gonna mix them all together to create the perfect internet scout.
Yeah.
Eat your heart out, Bob McKenzie. What number does? Who are we talking about? Conor Geeky go at?
Go on. What do you say?
What number does he go at? What draft position? What draft slot does he go at?
I honestly don't know. Like, it's so.
If you want,
like you talked to, like, I'll say this. I'll give this context.
No context, off the cuff.
No, I talk draft hockey with guys all the time, like, and different Discords and different chats. Like, there's a lot of guys that you guys have had on here too that we talk about this stuff all the time. And if there's one thing that I know about this draft class, like, I did an exercise because, like, they were talking about all these guys that I'd never seen. I'd never seen these guys. So I did what I called the 1 game challenge, where I watched like all of the top 40 for 1 game, so I could get at least a little context of like how they were and what they did. And it took me 2 days to do, like watching like a shift by shift of one of them, like all the time. I did like 20 one day and 20 the other. And it's so hard. Like, to me last year, eventually after all the things, there was separated into this sense of like, here's at least the top group.
Mm-hmm.
And there was ambiguity on any of these guys could kind of go in the same spot. Like, if you wanted a Luke Hughes or you wanted a William Eklund or whatever, like, just kind of shrug and go, yeah, sure. Like, take the one that you want, because I think they're close enough. There hasn't really been a lot of separation for me in this class, like, to the point where, like, I don't necessarily know who's going at 3. Like, and so I think this year there's going to be a lot of like, whoa moments. And once again, like when we talked about Geeky in that sense of he has a lot of survivable traits that guys are going to look at him and go, he's not 5'9", like he's not a 5'11" defenseman. He's not a this or this or this or this. And so it makes sense where some of the ranges have him. Like, I think, like, where does Bob McKenzie have him? Like 10, 12, something
10.
like that.
10.
Like, I could see that. I don't think I'd be the team to take him there unless I truly felt like I understood the role that he was moving into and like that kind of thing. I think I would wait longer, but be good. If I'm going to guess, let's say 14.
Okay.
Ooh. So we had McGilligan say that Brad Lambert was going at 19. So Conor Geeky ahead of Brad Lambert.
I think. Well,
he said he's a classic fall. He's a classic fall person where you can find the holes and teams just pass on him and pass on him and pass on him and pass on him until somebody takes him at like 19. So.
Yeah. There's once again, I think for people kind of followed me for a while, like I think I'm one of those people that really disagree on this draft class. And most people are like, there's some people that have wide gaps between players, and I just don't see it. I think that they're really pretty close. So like I see 4 guys from the WHL who, if they got drafted 13, 14, 15, 16, I would go, yeah. Like, to me, that would make sense as to how I've evaluated them. I would go, yeah, sure. Like, and so I kind of want that to happen now. I've never really thought about that, but that's what I want to happen.
That'd be sick. And all of them are the Coyotes. Okay, last question here. 5 years from now, it's 2027. We look back. Who's the best player from the draft? And the answer is Gleb Trikazov. No, I'm just
kidding. Let me pull up a list here for a sec. Like,
William Eklund.
William. What are the answers other guys have said? Like, I mean,
we've got a
Shane Wright.
Shane Wright.
Like, it's probably Shane Wright, but that's what I'm looking for. Like, who would I also say?
It can be the same guys. I think Tony was on for 2 episodes, and I think he said Savoy or Lamb. Well, no, he didn't say Savoy. Somebody said Savoy. No, I don't know. No, somebody said Logan Cooley, possibly. I'm not sure. It's been a lot of Lambert and Shane Wright.
If I could be weird about it, like,
Shane wrong, am I right?
Like, once again, I'm going from 1 game sample sizes and stuff, but one guy that I think has an incredibly high ceiling, but just lacks he's a bit physically behind than everyone, is Frank Nazar. I really like him.
Oh, we've done Frank Nazar. Yes.
In the same, and I'll make a comparison here. Like there's some finesse plays that he makes, moving through the zone, which I think were similar to me to when I was watching Robert Thomas. Like when I was watching Robert Thomas in his draft year. So I think if you find the right system and you're able to like add a bit of weight to Nazar and add a bit more to his speed, like to his acceleration, I think his finesse would really pop, and his ability to play at that. So I think he's one of those guys that has a huge upside. So if he truly hits, I think you could get a high end number 2 or a high end number 1 guy. I think the answer is still Shane Wright. Like it just has to be at this point. But like, I don't know. It's a class where probably when we look back, it's probably not Shane Wright. It's probably someone else that just took the reins and ran with it.
We'll put you down for Franklin Nazar. That's a fun one. Okay, Sam, oh my God.
Wow.
Joel, it's because we were just talking about Brad Lambert. And
I'm looking up the draft, see if there's somebody that I missed. Sportsnet's rankings. Let's go.
Oh yeah, that's the rankings we want to choose.
That's the one I want.
Said nobody ever, but nobody ever.
Not him. This is the top of the class. This is terrible.
Uri Slafkovsky. I would be happy if you said Slafkovsky. I love Slafkovsky.
To be honest, the other guy that I think he's rising up the ranks for a reason. He was one of the guys that I actually really loved when I watched was Cutter Gauthier as well. I really like him. I think that he's a guy that could do some damage too at the top. But
also great name, Cutter Gauthier.
Yeah.
All right, this is closing in on an hour here. Joel, where can people find you, and what do you got coming up or have done recently? Whatever you want to talk about.
So I did release a first initial WHL rankings. And so for some people who haven't followed me before or want to follow more, what you get from me is depth. And so like if you're looking for other rankings, they usually give you a top 100, a top 80, a top whatever. I'm letting you kind of know where maybe there's a Gannon Larocque that kind of exists in the WHL that you want to kind of find. And so the first ranking that I put out was something along the lines, I think I ranked the top 28. Sometime this month, I'll probably near the end of the month, I'll be doing another one. And just kind of an updated rankings and where there's been some movement around. So if you want to cover for WHL stuff, I write for that for future considerations and also write articles for Puck Preps. And Puck Preps is a website that is very, very, the whole realm of it is to project guys more to college. And so I spent a lot of time focusing and scouting 14, 15-year-old hockey players, especially from Western Canada, but some in the O, some in the United States as well, and kind of manage like the way that we kind of do that. And so it's projecting guys for the WHL draft, for the O, for, all those kinds of things, and trying to find, some talent that moves to the AJHL and moves to the BCHL that could be great to recruit to programs in the United States. So anything, honestly, for 14 to 20-year-olds in Western Canada. I love doing it. I love cheering for these kids. And so you can kind of follow me at DadHockeyDo on Twitter, or you can subscribe to Puck Preps. It's $15 a month for the subscription to all the things there and for all across North America. Or you can just check out future considerations to see some of my individual scouting reports from some of the players eligible for this year's draft and for ones in the past too.
DadHockeyDo is spelled DATHOCKEYDOE. So if any Americans are trying to spell it, pretend you're a Canadian. You'll get there.
It entirely came from people being like football, baseball, and I'm like, yeah, but DadHockeyDo.
See, just throw some Canadian on it, and you'll get there. If you'd like to talk to us on the interwebs, as my best friend once said, the internet is a series of pipes and tubes. If you'd like to follow us, you can do that at Twitter. I don't know where I'm going with that. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Locked On Sharks on all three. You know that we interact with you, even if we don't like you. And then we'll just stop interacting with you if you don't like. But please keep leaving comments. Let us know what draft profiles you want to see coming up. JD puts up all the episodes on Facebook and Instagram as well as Twitter, so we will always be able to get back to you. If you haven't emailed us, thank you for your service. Otherwise, it's lockedonsharks@gmail.com. Listening to us, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, everywhere else, tin cans and string, vinyl, gas station pumps, playing out of that little speaker nobody can understand. We're everywhere. If you want to watch us, once again, threesome time, That's your
Three
thing.
white dudes. Yeah.
3 white dudes on your laptop.
Or phone.
Probably phone in this day and age. Phone in the
Yeah.
left hand.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing with your right hand. Locked on Sharks on YouTube.
Yep.
We got to get to 1,000. We're at 601. We got to get to 1,000 so we can make money. JD is at My Fry Hole. I'm at Kyle Demetrius. Joel is at Dat Hockey Dough with an E on the end.
Thank you for making us your first listen. Go check out Locked On Bets, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Locked On. There's a bajillion Locked On shows. There's something up your alley if you don't want to listen to us anymore. We'll just keep listening to us. But if you want somebody else to listen to, go check out
Locked On Broncos.
The Broncos. Bye, friends.